Everyone was taken aback by his words. But soon, someone chuckled and nodded in agreement. Good idea, President. Whether or not we can crack the secret in the end would have nothing to do with Xiantian. That seems feasible. Gu Shiyang pondered and said, in addition, we also have to provide the loaning records of these 4 ancient manuals over the centuries. Agreed. I support this. The others nodded in agreement. Did Ma Shifeng and the others not want to enter the mausoleum of Prince Qin? No, anyone would want to. The problem was that the news had already spread, and every major faction in the city had their eyes on Xiantian. Every action of Ma Shifeng and company would attract the attention of those watching them in the dark. It wasn't realistic for them to try and take all of the treasures in the mausoleum of Prince Qin for themselves. This included the 4 ancient manuals. Only the true energy for beginners was in their possession. Even if Ma Shifeng and the others wanted to keep it for themselves, they wouldn't be able to. Rather than creating a mess in Xiantian, turning buildings into ruins, and killing countless teachers and students for the sake of a few ancient manuals, it would be better to make the matter public. The same went for the loan records. They would openly tell everyone they only had the true energy for beginners in their hands. And they would openly decode it, regardless of the outcome. Xiantian would be able to leave the muddy waters. At the very least, they could move the battlefield elsewhere. They also had clear records that the 2 ancient books, Introduction to Pills and First Look at Spirit Weapons, were no longer in Xiantian University. Anyone who wanted to enter the mausoleum of Prince Qin had better find these 2 ancient books first. The only thing that was hard to explain was that the simple explanations of array formations that had just been taken away. What a coincidence. However, since it had already happened, Ma Shifeng and the others could only move with the situation. Green Cloud Mountain Range. In the valley where the big white goose was. Whoosh! A silvery white glow was radiated from the big white goose's body. Su Jingxing, who was standing beside it, was feeling the changes in the ancient book with the simple explanations of array formations. At first, there was no reaction. However, gradually, Su Jingxing realized that the simple explanations of array formations was getting heavier. Its weight was increasing. At the same time, the surrounding worldly energy quickly converged, forming a small vortex around the simple explanations of array formations. The more natural energy there was, the faster the vortex spun, and the heavier the simple explanations of array formations got. That's right, bathed in the big white goose's glow, this ancient manual could actually absorb worldly energy and grow heavier. Su Jingxing could clearly feel that as its weight increased, the aura on the simple explanations of array formations was intensifying. As the aura grew stronger and stronger. Swish! A ray of golden light suddenly bloomed from the ancient book. The simple explanations of array formations left his hand and floated in midair. Swish! Swish! The pages flipped automatically without wind. Every time a page turned, a ray of light would shoot out and project itself into the empty air, 3 meters above the text. Swish! 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 As the rays of light increased, the area became brighter and brighter. When all the pages were turned, the light rays projected into the air formed a map. It was an image of Qinghe City's ancient geography. But it wasn't complete. A big chunk was missing from the top and right side. Simply put, it was only a quarter. Even so, Su Jingxing was pleasantly surprised. It's real. The map hidden in the simple explanations of array formations was real. The map that detailed the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin had really been divided into 4 parts. Thanks to the Great White Goose, Su Jingxing had unlocked the first copy. A quarter of the map was projected into the air. He wondered if he could take a photo. Su Jingxing wasn't slow in moving as he pondered. He immediately took out his phone and began snapping pictures of the light map in the air. Click. There was a loud click. Su Jingxing went to his gallery to open the photo. An There was nothing. As expected, he couldn't take any photos. Looking at the photo that only showed the sky, Su Jingxing quietly put his phone away. With the concealing abilities of these light maps that were created using special means, ordinary electronic devices could barely work. To take it down, one had to either memorize it by force or copy it on a piece of paper. Given that there were 4 similar maps, Su Jingxing chose the second option. Using the ground as paper and his treasure saber as brush, he picked an empty spot and looking at the light map in the air, traced it with his saber. Then, he snapped a photo with his phone. In this way, he now had a photo of the map. However, he wasn't sure if they would be of any use now that it was separated from the simple explanations of array formations. Su Jingxing was only doing this as a temporary backup plan. If he really wanted to find out the exact location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin, he would probably have to gather all 4 more. I might have to trouble you again, Brother Goose, Su Jingxing muttered. He got out of the air and took out a bunch of essence energy pills, tossing them to the big white goose. Ga. Ga. The big white goose flapped its wings, catching all the essence energy pills without missing a single one. Thanks, Brother Goose. Su Jingxing bid farewell to the big white goose. The goose's innate ability had already helped him several times. The only thing Su Jingxing could repay him with was essence energy pills, and that made him feel bad. Maybe I can find some company for Brother Goose? Su Jingxing pondered as he flew through the air. By the time he returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, the sky was already dark. After getting some food, Su Jingxing switched on his computer and went online to search for news regarding the mausoleum of Prince Qin. There were traces of all the related posts that had been blocked and deleted. After some manipulation, Su Jingxing dug out all of them. He looked through them one by one, and the contents were similar to what Shen Qian and the others had taken a screenshot of. Below the Green Cloud Mountain, Qinghe City. Below Qinghe City, the mausoleum of Prince Qin. This saying had been circulating for hundreds of years, but no one knew the exact location. Even the He family was probably equally clueless. They knew that the 4 ancient manuals, Simple Explanations of Array Formations, True Energy for Beginners, Introduction to Pills and First Look at Spirit Weapons contained maps, but clearly, they couldn't gather all 4. Had they been able to gather all of them, the He family would have long since entered the mausoleum of Prince Qin and taken away the treasures left behind by Lu Chenglong. Why would they wait until now? Realizing this, Su Jingxing had a plan. Getting all 4 ancient manuals together wouldn't be easy. Suddenly, his phone rang. Su Jingxing grabbed it and saw that it was a call from Yan Yuanfeng. Su Jingxing had left an anonymous number for this deputy sect master of the Iron Thread sect. They hadn't contacted each other since the last time they worked together. Why is he calling at this time? Puzzled, Su Jingxing picked up the call. Long time no see, guest Elder Lin, Yan Yuanfeng greeted with a hearty laugh. What's the matter? Asked Su Jingxing. Well, there really is something. Yan Yuanfeng coughed dryly and answered honestly, I wonder if you have received any news from Shantian University? Shantian University? Asked Su Jingxing, raising his eyebrows. What news? Looks like guest Elder Lin hasn't received it, said Yan Yuanfeng with a smile. Here's the thing. I assume you already know about the news regarding the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Yes. Glad to hear that, replied Yan Yuanfeng. Aren't the 4 ancient books that the informant revealed to contain the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin in Shantian University? For the sake of the safety of their teachers and students, and to show their selflessness, Shantian University has specially invited representatives from different factions to participate in the Open Ancient Manual Revelation Conference tomorrow night. I was just thinking, guest Elder Lin, if you have time, why don't you come with me? Hold on, interrupted Su Jingxing. An Open Ancient Manual Revelation Conference? What kind of event is this? They will crack the secret of the ancient manuals in front of everyone and find the hidden map. Yan Yuanfeng said, the four ancient books, simple explanations of array formations, true energy for beginners, introduction to pills, first look at spirit weapons have been through countless hands over the centuries, but no one has discovered the secrets hidden in them. The main reason is that the four ancient books have been augmented with special methods that require specific methods to unlock. Only then can one see the map. In order to avoid trouble and not wanting the various factions to mess up their campus, Xiantian University would bring out the ancient manuals and unlock them in public. Got it, said Su Jingxing, nodding. I'll be there for this event. What time tomorrow? 11 p.m. answered Yan Yuanfeng. At 11 p.m. tomorrow, in the auditorium of the Sky Water Block in Xiantian University. I'll be waiting for you at the entrance of the first level of the Sky Water Block. Great, thanks. After ending the call, Su Jingxing put down his phone and fell into deep thought. Xiantian University's move was unexpected, but understandable. After the He family exposed the secret, Xiantian University immediately became the center of attention for all factions. If Xiantian University did not take action, things would get lively all day and all night for them. Now that they had organized such a public event, no matter the outcome, they had at least recovered some lost ground. Of course, what interested Su Jingxing the most was, out of the four ancient books, the simple explanations of array formations was in his hands. How many remained with Xiantian University? His phone rang again. Su Jingxing took a look. It was Li Lilo. Why is he calling? He immediately picked up the call. A moment later, Su Jingxing hung up the call, a strange look on his face. Like Yan Yuanfeng, Li Lilo had also invited him to attend tomorrow night's conference at Xiantian University. In the end, he also stated that he would be waiting for him at the entrance on the first level of Sky Water Block. These two represented two factions, and they both wanted to wait for him. What were they up to? After some thought, Su Jingxing figured out the reason. Just then, however, his phone rang again. It was Zhou Wensen. With an odd expression, Su Jingxing answered the call. A moment later, he hung up and arched an eyebrow. The reason for Zhou Wensen's call was the same as Yan Yuanfeng's, to invite him to the conference held at Xiantian University tomorrow night. In the end, he also stated that he would wait for him at the entrance on the first level of Sky Water Block. The Iron Thread sect, the Li family, and the Zhou family were considered top factions in Qinghe City. And they had all invited Su Jingxing to attend the conference together as if by prior agreement. Did they really have Su Jingxing in their considerations? No. At the very least, it wasn't entirely for Su Jingxing, but for themselves. In the eyes of Li Lilo and the others, Su Jingxing was not only a fourth-grade martial artist, but also an independent martial artist. They were more than happy to rope in such an expert. However, Su Jingxing never promised anyone anything. Li Lilo, Zhou Wensen, and the others didn't dare to insist. However, the event at Xiantian University tomorrow night was a good opportunity. Representatives from various factions would be present. If Su Jingxing had followed any of the three, Zhou Wensen, Li Lilo, or Yan Yuanfeng into the hall, the others would automatically see him as part of their faction. Even if the misunderstanding was cleared up afterward, it would still leave an impression that Su Jingxing was closest to a certain faction. Such a small trick was not considered a conspiracy. Li Lilo, Yan Yuanfeng, and the others weren't afraid of angering Su Jingxing. Su Jingxing wasn't angry, instead, he was rather amused. The Qi family would probably be calling to invite him soon. In the end, it wasn't just Qi Xinjue who called. Zhao Zhongyi also called on behalf of the Cross Alliance. Aside from the four major martial arts families, Li, Zhou, Wang, and Qi, the three major sects, Iron Thread sect, the Jade Sword sect, and the Divine Fist sect also made up the top powers of Qinghe City. The Flying Cloud sect in the Western District was nothing but an underground gang with limited martial artists and limited resources. They could only hole up in the city. The Iron Thread sect, the Jade Sword sect, and the Divine Fist sect were different. They were sects with histories of more than a century. They had their own martial arts headquarters outside the city, and more than one fourth-grade expert guarding them. In addition, there were also independent factions like the Cross Alliance, the Sky Water Chamber of Commerce, and the Green Cloud Court. These were all those on the surface. Su Jingxing wasn't sure if there were any more like the He family, which had been hiding behind the scenes for many years. Even the martial arts universities led by Xiantian University were not to be underestimated. Similarly, the several famous local martial arts universities all had fourth-grade martial artists watching over them. And now, these factions were starting to get riled up because of the mausoleum of Prince Qin. It was foreseeable that the auditorium in Sky Water Block at Xiantian University would be packed with experts tomorrow night. Similar to Su Jingxing, there were several independent fourth-grade martial artists in Qinghe City. Unsurprisingly, these people were also invited by various large factions to attend the conference tomorrow night. Therefore, putting the ancient manuals aside, the conference tomorrow night was a chance to meet the major factions and fourth-grade martial artists. No matter what, Su Jingxing had to go there to take a look. Of course, not in response to the invitations from Yan Yuanfeng, Li Lilo, and the others but alone. Su Jingxing wasn't stupid enough to put himself as part of a certain faction. Even if it was imperceptibly so, he wouldn't allow it. The Li family. How did it go? Did he agree? The Li family's patriarch, Li Mingfang, asked with a frown as he watched Li Lilo put down his phone. No. Li Lilo shook his head. Guest Elder Lin declined politely. He said he would attend on his own. Heh, he didn't even have a word of thanks, sneered an old man whose hair was half white and combed neatly. This guest Elder Lin sure knows how to put on airs. Our Li family has invited him several times, but he refuses without the slightest hesitation. If it were up to you, I wouldn't be sucking up to him. And you call him guest Elder Lin? I asked Lin Tuotian, but he doesn't even know this fellow's name. And then, asked Li Mingfang, looking at him expressionlessly. The old man was taken aback. Then? What then? Don't you have a glib tongue? You look down on guest Elder Lin behind his back, and then what's the next step? Find him, beat him up, or kill him, said Li Mingfang expressionlessly. The old man's face was flushed. That wasn't what I meant. Then what's the meaning of this? Interrupted Li Mingfang, his face still as expressionless as ever. There's no grudge between you and him. Is there a need for you to take on such a disdainful and contemptuous attitude every time you talk about him? The old man's mouth moved, but no words came out. Instead, his eyes were burning with rage and shame. The only reason why he had a grudge against guest Elder Lin was because this guest Elder Lin didn't know what was good for him. How many people wanted to join the Li family? Among them, there was no lack of fourth-grade martial artists who wanted to join the Li family. Yet, this guest Elder Lin just kept ignoring them. However, Li Mingfang and Li Lilo were well aware of this. Many people in the Li family were used to being arrogant and looked down on outsiders. Whenever something did not go their way, they would get frustrated, embarrassed, and angry. In the end, they strike violently, resulting in casualties. These people could be said to be the Li family's malignant tumors. They had existed in every generation for the past 300 years. More importantly, the population was small 100 years ago. In the modern era, for some reason, there were now more and more of them. As the patriarch of the family, Li Mingfang had a big headache over this. He had been trying to come up with a solution, but failed to think of any good ones. Fortunately, there were still sober people, like Li Lilo. Ahem, 7 didn't mean it either. Li Lilo tried to persuade him. It's expected that guest Elder Lin would turn us down. But what are we going to do about Su Tailong? Su Tailong is at our door, asked Li Mingfang, his frown deepening. Not yet, Li Lilo shook his head. But it's only a matter of time before he comes knocking on our door. We have to be prepared. We can't possibly wait for him to show up before we come up with a solution, can we? This has nothing to do with us in the first place. Just because he knows the 7 calamities will mantra, it means that he belongs to the Li family. The sulking old man gritted his teeth and shouted, if Su Tailong is looking for someone, he should have gone to the transport surveillance center to check the surveillance footage. Shut up, said Li Mingfang irritably. Su Tailong's only son is dead. Do you think he'll listen to some irrelevant explanation? The old man opened his mouth, then closed it again. Should we invite Su Tailong to the conference at Sky Water Block tomorrow night? Asked Li Lilo thoughtfully. What do you mean? Asked Li Mingfang, looking at him. Simple. Anyone who can kill Tian Huaizhao and a dozen of his subordinates in an instant must be a 4th-grade martial artist. Li Lilo analyzed. And there will definitely be many 4th-grade martial artists present tomorrow night. Maybe one of them is the one who killed Tian Huaizhao. If we lure Su Tailong over, maybe we can force this person out. Pausing for a moment, Li Lilo continued. Laugh all you want, but I've always thought that the person who killed Tian Huaizhao is also looking for the map to enter the mausoleum of Prince Qin. You mean, the He family? Li Mingfang asked with narrowed eyes. What do you mean? Asked the sulking old man, confused. Li Lilo ignored him and nodded. That's right, it's the He family. I suspect that the leaking of the news about the mausoleum of Prince Qin was also the doing of the He family. In Qinghe City, the He family is most familiar with the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Especially when we found out that the 3rd-grade He Rengu had died. We allied with the Zhou and Qi families, and were just about to make a move on the He family and this matter was exposed. Lastly, I went to search for information this morning. 200 years ago, when the first half of the 7 calamities will mantra was lost, there were records that it had appeared in Scholar Restaurant before. However, because we got it back in time, our ancestor at that time did not come into contact with the He family. Now that I think about it, there might already have been people in the He family who cultivated the 7 calamities will mantra at that time. What? The sulking old man was stunned by what he heard. F4, you're saying that Tian Huaizhao was killed by a member of the He family? Li Mingfang was visibly moved. Shock revealed in his eyes. I'm just guessing. Li Lilo shrugged. We can always find out if the He family is behind this by sending Su Tailong there. The He family will definitely be present at Xiantian University's conference tomorrow night. The night wind blew. The moon shone down on the river. Flying in the air, Su Jingxing traversed half of Qinghe City and arrived at Xiantian University. However, when he entered the campus, he found that there was no one there. All of the teachers and students of Xiantian University had been transferred away. On second thought, it made sense. The 4 ancient books were stored in Xiantian University, so the university would never be at peace until this problem was resolved. Not all 4th-grade martial artists had mild personalities. In Su Jingxing's opinion, clearing out the campus was a very right move. Su Jingxing flew unhurriedly through the air. Right on the dot, he flew into the auditorium at the top level of Sky Water Block. The other areas of the campus were dark and silent. Only the Sky Water Block was brightly lit. All the windows in the auditorium on the top level were wide open. Like Su Jingxing, many people entered the auditorium through the windows. They were either 4th-grade or 5th-grade martial artists. He leaned against the wall by a window and scanned the crowd. He did not recognize most of them. Of course, Su Jingxing, who was wearing a cloak and a mask, was being surveyed by others as well. Even though some of the experts who arrived in the auditorium were wearing cloaks or masks like Su Jingxing, most of them showed their faces. As a result, whenever a person with a covered face entered the auditorium, they would receive a wave of scanning eyes. Su Jingxing took this coolly. He saw many familiar faces among these people. For example, the young man who could transform into a golden human, even though he was wearing sunglasses. Another example was Cin Bank's Lu Chen. He was seated in a corner with an assistant with a cold aura. Needless to mention were Qi Xinjue, Zhao Zhongyi, and the others. Yan Yuanfeng was the first person to call and extend an invitation. Su Jingxing found him as well, sitting beside a middle-aged man with mid-length hair. Earlier, when he was on his way over, Su Jingxing had sent him a text telling him that he didn't have to wait at the entrance of the first level. Therefore, he was not surprised to see Yan Yuanfeng sitting in the auditorium. What surprised Su Jingxing the most was the fact that Li Lilo and Su Tailong were seated together. The two of them each led their own teams, but they did not get into a fight or an argument. Su Jingxing, who knew the inside story, found it odd. Has the Li family had found Tian Huizhao's murderer for Su Tailong? At the thought of the murderer, Su Jingxing raised his head and scanned the crowd again. He was looking for He Liren. The person whose cultivation level was higher than Li Linzhou's, who used a kitchen knife spirit weapon, and could produce more than 10 true energy manifestations. He Liren might not have shown his face at the time, but Su Jingxing had committed his aura to memory. Su Jingxing scanned his surroundings, but to his surprise, he found nothing. Is he not here? Su Jingxing refused to believe that the He family wouldn't attend the conference tonight. The matter concerned the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Even if the He family had a legacy of 400 years, as long as they had never been inside, they would still be tempted. Swish! Just as he was continuing his sensing, a gust of strong wind suddenly blew into the auditorium through the window he was near. Su Jingxing detected a familiar aura immediately. He looked up and saw that it was indeed He Liren, whom he had forced back with his thunderbolt that night. The fellow was wrapped in black cloth from head to toe, as usual. Like Su Jingxing, he did not find a seat. Instead, he leaned against the wall by a window and remained silent. So he's late. Su Jingxing glanced at He Liren and looked away. In the 4th grade, one's senses were extremely sharp, they could feel it if they were being stared at for a long time. Su Jingxing was here to watch the show, not cause trouble for the He family. Naturally, he wouldn't alert the other party. Just then, the well-dressed president of Qinghe City's Shentian University branch campus, Ma Shifeng, strode up to the rostrum. He, who was only in the 5th grade, was unfazed by the attention of a group of 4th grade and 5th grade martial artists. With a calm expression, he opened a document on his computer screen. At the same time, he enhanced his voice with his true energy and said, "Good evening, everyone. I'm the president of the university, Ma Shifeng. It seems like everyone has the same goal in mind for coming here tonight. I shall not go on about that. Before we get to the main topic of the evening, I would like to impose on everyone for a few minutes. Please take a look at the loan records of the 4 ancient books over the past 400 years in our university." As he spoke, the projection screen behind him lit up. Detailed loan records began to appear. First was for the first look at spirit weapons, records for it lasted from 400 years ago to 200 years ago. The word "lost" that was displayed at the end, stirred up a commotion in the auditorium. Then there was Introduction to Pills. Records for it ran from 400 years ago all the way until 70 years ago, when it was loaned to a person named Gu Huanqi. Finally, the words "yet to be returned" at the end caused another uproar in the entire auditorium. Then there was the simple explanations of array formations. The records went from 400 years ago until last month, but the final comment was still "lost." "Are you fooling us, President Ma?" A gruff voice broke the silence without waiting for the display of loan records to end. The first 2 were fine, but records of the simple explanations of array formations clearly went on till last month. How could you tell us that it is "lost" too? Do you take us for fools? That's right, President Ma. We've already given you face and gathered here on your invitation tonight. But you can't fool us because of this. The simple explanations of array formations was "lost" just last month. Did you also lose the true energy for beginners last night? Curses of anger, sneers, and voices of disdain sounded without end. Formless auras emanated through the auditorium, clashing with one another. On the rostrum, Ma Shifeng's expression changed slightly. He quickly stretched out his arms to pacify the crowd. However, before he could say anything, Han Zong, the dean of the Xiantian Institute of Martial Arts, sprang to his feet. Facing everyone, he bellowed, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Trying to stir up trouble. Let me tell you this, we, Xiantian, don't owe a single one of you anything. The only reason we invited you here tonight is to expose the mastermind stirring up trouble behind the scenes. I don't believe none of you have guessed his motive for exposing the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Bringing the trouble to Xiantian is also to make the water muddier. Think about it. If the 4 ancient books had been in our Xiantian Dao sect all this time, would we have endured for more than 400 years and not bothered to take a look at the mausoleum of Prince Qin?" Silence. Han Zong's furious rebuke had covered the veils that everyone was wearing. There was no point in covering it up. Everyone was after the mausoleum of Prince Qin. No one was more noble than the other. In that case, they might as well be open about it. I'm not afraid to tell you either. The simple explanations of array formations was stolen. Previously, 3 groups of people broke into the top level of our library and stole maps. The simple explanations of array formations went missing with them. We didn't see the face of that person, all we knew was that he was a 4th-grade expert. As for the true energy for beginners, we are very honored to have preserved it. Unlocking it is also our goal tonight, said Han Zong as he waved at Liang Yiqing, who was standing in a corner. Carrying a square wooden box, the latter strode up to the rostrum. Everyone, this is the true energy for beginners. Due to its special. Liang Yiqing stopped mid-sentence. He opened his eyes wide and stared at the opened wooden box. The box was empty. The true energy for beginners that was originally placed inside it had vanished without a trace. What's wrong? Han Zong did not look inside the wooden box. Seeing Liang Yiqing standing rooted to the ground, he frowned and said, "What are you standing there for? Give me the ancient manual." "There's no need to worry about damaging the ancient manual," said Ma Shifeng, leaning over. The hidden map must have been augmented by some secret technique inside the B-book. His words trailed off as his eyes widened in shock. "Why are you?" Han Zong took a few steps forward and asked curiously. Not expecting to see the empty wooden box, he too froze on the spot. The expressions of the crowd in the hall changed upon seeing their strange behaviors. "What are you waiting for, President Ma? Take out the true energy for beginners from the box," someone shouted. The corners of Ma Shifeng's eyes twitched. His mouth opened and closed. However, at this stage, there was nothing they could do to stop this. Right then, he slowly reached out and picked up the box while lowering his voice and asking Liang Yiqing. "What's going on? Weren't you the one safekeeping the box?" I was the one safekeeping." "No." Liang Yiqing recalled something and shuddered. "An hour ago, President Liu said he wanted to take a look at the ancient book and see if we had gotten the wrong one, so I temporarily handed it to him for safekeeping. After that, I took it back and did not check inside the box." "Lu Jufen." Han Zong's expression turned ugly. "Damn it, I knew there was something wrong with this old man. What's going on with you guys? Why do you guys have to hold a long discussion over an ancient text?" someone from the crowd urged. Su Jingxing, who had been listening in on Ma Shifeng and company, smiled faintly. Xiantian University was about to get lively. Someone has taken away the true energy for beginners right before they unlocked it. There are a total of 4 ancient books, and 3 are already lost. They're relying on the final one to save face. But now, even the 4th book is gone. What else is there to crack? An egg. President Liu. Lu Jufen. As far as Su Jingxing knew, there was no vice president named Lu Jufan in Xiantian University. This is either an honorific or this person is someone from the main campus. It would be even more entertaining if he's from the main campus. Su Jingxing was in thought. On the rostrum, Ma Shifeng had also made his decision. He turned the empty wooden box towards everyone. At the same time, he shouted in anger and shame, "I'm ashamed to say that the true energy for beginners was taken an hour ago." The person who took it was Lu Jufan, from the Xiantian main. Ha ha ha. Before Ma Shifeng could finish his sentence, mocking laughter erupted from below the stage. I knew it would turn out like this. You guys sure know how to find excuses. Lost just an hour ago. What a coincidence. Let's go, let's go. I'll look for it myself. Everyone were having the same starting line, we're all relying on luck to find ancient manuals. Whoever finds them first gets to keep them. I hope everyone adheres to the rules. Heh, since when did you have the right to make the rules, old Three Lu? At the very least, he's more qualified than you. A hubbub broke out. Everyone who was waiting got up immediately. Those who came alone left through the window, and those who came in groups discussed among themselves. Those who were already at odds with one another began to argue. The huge auditorium was bustling with noise and excitement. No one listened to Ma Shifeng anymore. This included the Li family. Li Lilo quickly pointed at a few cloaked or masked figures. Then, Su Tailong's furious roar resounded through the auditorium. He pay for my son's life. Su Tailong unleashed a terrifying aura that divided his killing intent into four, charging towards the four figures Li Lilo was pointing at. Among them was He Liren, who was less than 3 meters away from Su Jingxing. Su Jingxing could feel He Liren's heartbeat increase. Almost subconsciously, he darted out of the window. On the contrary, in their shock, the other 3 people either turned around or glared at Su Tailong coldly. One of them bellowed in a deep voice, "Su Tailong, what are you?" Found him. Li Lilo was the first to exclaim in delight. Pointing at the window where He Liren had left, he said excitedly, "Chairman Su, the person over there has escaped. Give chase." As soon as his response sounded, Su Tailong had already disappeared from where he stood. He charged out of the window and gave chase. 3 other people followed him out of the window. They were all experts in movement techniques. Before Su Jingxing could get a clear look at their faces, the 4 of them flashed past his eyes and disappeared into the night sky. When Li Lilo ran over with his men, he hurriedly nodded and followed suit. There weren't many people left in the auditorium. A few people, including Su Jingxing, stayed behind to wait for Ma Shifeng, Han Zong, and the others to finish their discussion. Then, they followed behind Ma Shifeng and company to charge out of the hall. Some did not believe Ma Shifeng's claims. Similarly, some people believed him. The ones who stayed till the end were those who believed him. After Lu Jufan took away the true energy for beginners, Ma Shifeng and company took action to recover it. Su Jingxing and a few others followed suit without hesitation. Compared to Su Tailong's revenge plan that the Li family was more than happy to join in to clear their name. Catching up to Lu Jufan and recovering the true energy for beginners was undoubtedly more exciting. At the very least, that was what Su Jingxing thought and did. The night wind blew. Moonlight shone on the ground. In the sky above the university town, a dozen or so figures were flying rapidly in quick succession. Before long, they left the boundaries of the university town and entered the woods on the outskirts of the eastern district of Qinghe City. Su Jingxing, who seemed to be the slowest and had fallen behind, was actually relaxing, keeping pace with the crowd ahead. Unsure of Ma Shifeng's judgment, Lu Jufan fled towards the east. Su Jingxing was in no hurry to keep up. If they had taken the wrong direction, it would still take time to turn around. However, the facts proved that they were right. Risking depleting their true energy at an alarming rate, the group continued their mad chase for more than 10 minutes. On the ground, an unlit car sped along the mountain path and appeared before everyone's eyes. Boom! Han Zong, who was in the lead, threw a punch from a distance as soon as he spotted the vehicle. A huge fist imprint formed from flaming true energy tore through the night sky, shattering the air. Like a meteor, it whistled through the air as it headed straight for the vehicle. Boom! At the same time, the car suddenly accelerated. With a roar, it sped up and dodged the flaming fist imprint. Bam! A clap of thunder seemed to resound on the mountain path. Dirt flew everywhere, and debris flew into the air. A crater with a radius of 4 to 5 meters was immediately created by the flame fist imprint. Lu! Ju! Fun! Han Zong's furious voice resounded through the woods. Boom boom boom. The air exploded. The fist imprint formed from flaming true energy was once again released through the air and slammed into the ground. A violent aura scraped through the air, producing a shrill sound. The result of unleashing 5 fist imprints at once was succeeding in stopping the speeding car, blasting it, and sending it rolling on the ground. However, as the burning vehicle rose into the air, a figure darted out of the vehicle at lightning speed and disappeared into the woods. Boom! Boom! The car exploded and was reduced to pieces of scrap metal before it even hit the ground, splattering all over the mountain path. Swish! 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 In the air, the group of pursuers descended rapidly and burrowed into the woods. Lu Jufan. You won't get away. Han Zong's enraged voice resounded through the air once again. President Lu, please stop. Hand over the true energy for beginners, and I can take it that this never happened, said Ma Shifeng, his voice echoing through the woods. President Lu, so what if you get the true energy for beginners? Liang Yiqing's voice rang out. The other 3 ancient books have all disappeared. What's the point of taking away the true energy for beginners? Besides, it hasn't been unlocked. It's still unknown whether the map to the mausoleum of Prince Qin is really hidden in the ancient manuals. Let go. It's not too late to let go now. Gu Shiyang was the last to speak, his voice echoing as well. Out of the 4 fourth-grade experts of Xiantian, only Jingxing remained behind to guard the school. The other 3 had all come after him. However, Lu Jufan, who was escaping, ignored all the threats and advice. All he cared about was sprinting at full speed, weaving through the woods at lightning speed. Half of the group consisting of Han Zong, Ma Shifeng, and the others were chasing at low altitudes, while the other half were chasing in the woods. No matter where they were, everyone's gaze was fixed on Lu Jufan's figure. Su Jingxing, who was at the back, hung around leisurely. Suddenly, he saw a few figures moving after Han Zong, Ma Shifeng, and the others suddenly sped up. They flew forward and disappeared. When they reappeared, 2 figures were already in front of Lu Jufan, blocking his way. Swish! Swish! Blade energy and hidden weapons shot out at the same time, launching attacks at Lu Gofan from high and low. With a swift movement, Lu Jufan, who was running like the wind, changed his direction and charged towards the right side of the forest. Unexpectedly. Swish! Streams of cold sword energy also shot out from the forest on the right. They weaved together to form a web that quickly closed in on Lu Jufan. Not only that, a burning aura was gushing out from the forest to Lu Jufan's left, cutting off his path. People blocked his way from the front, back, left, and right. Without a choice, Lu Gufan soared into the sky. Boom! A loud explosion erupted in the air. Han Zong, with his aura fully released with flames and true energy swirling around him, was like a fiery god of war. He descended from the sky and charged at Lu Gufan. Ah! Lu Jufan, who was engrossed in escaping, finally couldn't hold it in anymore and let out a roar. True energy shot out from his body in all directions, transforming into palm prints in the blink of an eye. Dark winds stirred as an incomparably cold wave surged into the air, front, back, left, and right. He was actually vainly trying to fight 10 people by himself. Boom boom boom. A dull explosion resounded through the woods. A terrifying shockwave swept through the air, breaking trees, shattering rocks, and throwing mud into the air. Like bombs, the furious force plowed through the area with a 100-meter radius from the center outwards. Within this range, not a single tree remained intact. At the center, Lu Jufan took most of the blow. However, he did not die. His face was pale, and some blood was trickling down the corner of his lips. He stood at the bottom of a pit, surrounded by an overpowering aura. Blue icy true energy covered his entire body, so his injuries were limited. Swish. 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 A few people descended from the sky. There were also people walking out from the woods around him. They surrounded Lu Gufan tightly. "Can we stop now, President Lu?" asked Liang Yiqing solemnly. "Lu Jufan, I'm giving you one last chance. Hand over the true energy for beginners." Han Zong bellowed. "President Lu, what's the point of doing this?" Ma Shifeng sighed. "If you want the map, so do we. Wouldn't it be better if we all sat down and unlocked the secret in the ancient manual together? Do you have to go as far as to taking away the manual?" Lu Jufan said nothing. His face was tense, and his eyes shone with madness. "Lu Jufan, I'm asking you a question. Are you mute?" Han Zong cursed irritably. "President Ma, there's no need to waste our breath on him. Let's get moving," said a fourth-grade martial artist who had helped intercept Lu Jufan. "This. Ha ha ha." At this point, Lu Jufan suddenly burst out laughing. "You want the true energy for beginners? Do you really think I would hide such an ancient manual on me?" "What do you mean?" asked Han Zong with an ugly expression. "What do I mean? Haven't you already guessed it?" sneered Lu Jufan. "You guys have been chasing me for a long time now. Have you ever thought that someone else has gone far away with the true energy for beginners? A diversion?" The expressions of the people surrounding Lu Jufan changed drastically. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat, but he quickly composed himself. He carefully sensed Lu Jufan's words and realized that he wasn't being completely honest. In other words, he wasn't speaking the truth entirely. Some of it was true, but some of it had been concealed. "Lu Jufan, do you think we are so easily fooled?" A fourth-grade martial artist shouted coldly and pounced at him without another word. "We'll know whether the true energy for beginners is on you once we search you." Boom boom. The palm imprint soared into the sky and flew at Lu Gufan. Swish. 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 Seeing this, the others also executed their ultimate techniques and attacked Lu Jufan. With the support of their protective true energy, they had no fear of breaking the ancient manual. Of course, it didn't matter even if it was broken. As 2 of the manuals were lost, with the third nowhere to be seen. It didn't really matter whether the manual that Lu Jufan had in his possession was complete or not. It would have been great if it was still there, but if it was gone or destroyed, they would resign themselves to fate. The mausoleum of Prince Qin had been there for hundreds of years, and no one had ever entered it. If they didn't have the fortune to enter it, it wasn't a big deal either. Therefore, no one held back when attacking Lu Jufan. Lu Jufan did not hold back in his resistance either. Sword energy, blade energy, palm imprints, fist imprints, for a moment, they danced and clashed in the debris-filled battlefield. They plowed through the ground covered with broken wood again and again. Dust danced in the air. Ma Shifeng, Han Zong, Liang Yiqing, and the others watched nervously, preparing themselves for the final rescue. Who would they save? Lu Jufan, of course. They couldn't afford to kill this fellow yet, he had to stay alive before they find the true energy for beginners. Even though they didn't understand why Lu Jufan wanted to take the true energy for beginners, he had already done it. Now that he was being ganged up on, he deserved it. If he cooperated with them and handed over the ancient manual, he wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble. With these thoughts in mind, Ma Shifeng, Han Zong, and the others were in no hurry to make a move. Instead, they watched from the side. And bam! An explosion erupted. Under siege, Lu Jufan suddenly unleashed his aura. Then, for some reason, he used his secret ability and self-destructed. He exploded. Lu Jufan actually self-destructed. His body was reduced to minced flesh that splattered all over the ground in a shower of blood. The shockwave generated by the explosion forced the besieging crowd backward. They felt suffocated in the chest, and some of them even suffered severe internal injuries, with blood trickling down the corner of their lips. Even so, they were in no mood to pay attention to themselves. Instead, they stared at the hole left behind by Lu Jufan's self-destruction with wide eyes and blank expressions. Self-destructed? They didn't even use their full strength, they didn't want Lu Jufan's life, so why did he self-destruct? Why not just surrender and admit defeat? Why did he self-destruct? They couldn't figure it out. They weren't alone. Ma Shifeng, Liang Yiqing, Han Zong, and the others were puzzled too. They were even prepared to rescue him. In the end, Lu Gufan self-destructed, and they couldn't save him in time even if they had wanted to. He self-detonated out of the blue. The group couldn't wrap their heads around it. Why would Lu Jufan blow himself up all of a sudden? Great. Now that Lu Jufan was dead, no one knew where he had hidden the true energy for beginners. There wasn't a single piece or shred of paper where Lu Jufan self-detonated. This meant that he did not carry the true energy for beginners on him. If it wasn't on him, where could it be? Silence. Silence. The place fell into a dead silence. With Lu Jufan's self-destruction, the clue was gone. Be it the people who ganged up on him, or Ma Shifeng, Liang Yiqing, and the others, they all felt troubled and helpless. Only Su Jingxing, who was standing on the top of a tree about 40 to 50 meters away from the crowd, could not help but smile in pleasant surprise. Lu Jufan was dead, his self-detonation had reduced him to pieces. To others, any clue to the ancient manual, True Energy for Beginners, was gone. However, the card Su Jingxing had extracted from Lu Jufan's corpse had easily given him the location of this ancient manual. That's right. After Lu Jufan died, Su Jingxing extracted a memory card. It contained 50 years of memories of Lu Jufan's lifetime. At the 4th grade, the true energy cards extracted would have at least 10 years of cultivation. The skill cards would either contain advanced martial arts or powerful secret abilities. And memory cards would contain only one section of memory. Learning Lu Jufan's martial arts through his memories was several times more difficult than directly absorbing skill cards. Su Jingxing held Lu Gufan's memory card in his hand. After reading the information, he couldn't help but let out a sincere word of praise. The extraction was worth it. Not only had he learned where the true energy for beginners was hidden, the first look at spirit weapons that was lost 200 years ago was also in Lu Jufan's possession and hidden somewhere by him. From his memories, Su Jingxing found out that the first ancient manual that Lu Jufan had obtained was First Look at Spirit Weapons. Half a year ago, he had bought it on a whim at a black market stall in the capital. He had gotten it as an extra item to round up the price when he was buying an ancient piece of jade. The person who sold it didn't know its value and only thought that the First Look at Spirit Weapons was an ordinary ancient book. Even though it contained a lot of information about ancient spirit weapons and blood spirit weapons, it wasn't very useful. There were even more detailed records about spirit weapons in other ancient books. Therefore, when Lu Jufan bought this copy of First Look at Spirit Weapons, he thought nothing of it and casually tossed it on the table in his private treasury. 3 days later, he borrowed a treasure from an old friend. Its ability was similar to the big white goose's innate ability, it allowed certain concealed contents to reappear. The reason why Lu Jufan had borrowed it was to inspect an antique porcelain vase. He did the inspection right in the underground treasury. As it turned out, the ability of the treasure affected the first look at spirit weapons, revealing the secret of this ancient manual. The exact process was similar to when Su Jingxing broke the seal on the simple explanations of array formations. Lu Jufan was stunned then. After that, he returned his old friend's treasure and carried out a series of inquiries with the first look at spirit weapons. Then, he personally went out to look into the relevant information. In the end, he found a shocking piece of news, the existence of the mausoleum of Prince Qin. 400 years ago, people had divided the map that led into the mausoleum of Prince Qin into 4 portions. These 4 portions were hidden in 4 ancient books respectively. And the first look at spirit weapons was only one of them. After figuring out the source, Lu Jufan was ecstatic. From the information he had gathered, he learned that there was a treasure that would allow one to advance to the 3rd grade in the mausoleum of Prince Qin. That night, he went to his old friend's house to kill him while he was unprepared. That's right. Lu Jufan killed his old friend who lent him the treasure. The reason was simple, he wanted to obtain the treasure that could activate the ancient manuals. Treasures that could stimulate concealment methods to reveal the hidden contents were rare. If Lu Jufan wanted to crack the other 3 ancient manuals, he would have to rely on it. Furthermore, the number of uses of this treasure was limited. Each use meant that he had 1 use less. He couldn't possibly borrow it 4 times or keep it for himself for a long time. On top of that, his old friend was his love rival. He had snatched Lin Jufan's first love. Of course, through Lu Jufan's memories, Su Jingxing discovered that his so-called first love was actually a crush. The girl had never liked him since the beginning. Lu Jufan had stayed single his entire life because he blamed himself. In other words, he was a stubborn man. Becoming friends with this old friend who stole his first love was also an intentional act by Lu Jufan. In short, in order to advance to the 3rd grade, Lu Jufan found an excuse for himself. He killed his old friend and took away his treasure. Before leaving the capital, he even forced himself onto the first love, who had maintained her appearance very well and still retained her charm. That was also why Lu Jufan self-destructed. That old friend was an official with a rather high position. Even though Lu Jufan had completely destroyed the corpse, and no one could associate anything with him in a short period of time, as time passed, they would definitely make the links to him. The reason why Lu Jufan had made up an excuse to leave the main campus of Xiantian and go to various branches to relax was to hide. Of course, his real goal was to come to Qinghe City and find the remaining 3 ancient manuals that contained the parts of the map to the mausoleum of Prince Qin. However, when he was personally investigating the mausoleum of Prince Qin, some information leaked out. As a result, Lu Chen and Tian Huaizhao, who happened to be in the capital at that time, both learned about it. And the young man who had transformed into a golden human learned of the existence of the mausoleum of Prince Qin from Lu Chen. The 4 groups of people arrived at Qinghe City almost at the exact same time. They carried out a secret investigation in the dark and searched for a map that could lead them to the mausoleum of Prince Qin. Compared to Lu Chen and Tian Huaizhao, Lu Jufan no longer had any route of retreat. He had to level up to the 3rd grade within a short period of time. He had killed his old friend and forced himself onto his first love. Once caught, Lu Jufan would be dead meat. Therefore, Lu Jufan attempted to break into the top floor of the Xiantian University Library several times. However, Liang Yiqing kept him at bay, and he did not dare to use force. Lu Jufan was only an ordinary 4th grade martial artist. In terms of strength and cultivation, he was inferior to Liang Yiqing, let alone Han Zong. As such, he had no choice but to search carefully for the remaining 3 ancient manuals. The last time Su Jingxing visited the library, Liang Yiqing was drawn away temporarily. That was Lu Jufan's idea. He also paid someone else to help break into the top level of the library. In the end, he bumped into Lu Chen's group, and even helped Su Jingxing to take away the simple explanations of array formations by accident. After the previous incident, Liang Yiqing guarded the top level of the library every day, and Lu Jufan couldn't even get close even if he wanted to. Until the He family exposed the existence of the mausoleum of Prince Qin and that the 4 ancient manuals were the key to entering it. Liang Yiqing had gone out of his way to find out more about the situation. When he got news of the mausoleum of Prince Qin and subsequently found out that there was only one of the 4 ancient manuals left, Lu Jufan, who had endured for several days, finally made his decision. He took the opportunity to steal the true energy for beginners. He couldn't wait any longer. If he waited any longer, his crimes might already have been exposed back in the capital. Therefore, he found a chance to take the wooden box from Liang Yiqing that night, and stole the true energy for beginners. As for cracking the secret, the treasure he had looted from his old friend was more than enough for him to reveal the map in the true energy for beginners. The only thing Lu Jufan did not expect was for Ma Shifeng and Han Zong to find out his escape route so quickly. And they immediately gave chase and intercepted him midway. His final choice was to self-destruct. As his theft of the true energy for beginners had fallen, Ma Shifeng would definitely contact the Shentian main campus and report him. Once he was reported here, his crimes back in the capital would naturally blow up with this. Once captured, Lu Jufan would be executed. He would die anyway, so he might as well blow himself up right now. Once he was dead, no one would know where the true energy for beginners and first look at spirit weapons were. Not to mention entering the mausoleum of Prince Qin and obtaining the treasure left behind by the rising dragon Saber King. This was exactly what Lu Jufan wanted. Once he was dead, no one would be able to benefit from it. Unfortunately, he had run into Su Jingxing. A single memory card sent all of Lu Jufan's calculated ideas down the drain. Now, Su Jingxing owned both the true energy for beginners and first look at spirit weapons. He did not finish watching through all 50 years of Lu Gufan's memories. Su Jingxing, who was in a hurry to get back, temporarily sealed the memory. Then, he turned around, soared into the sky, and flew back to Qinghe City. As for what would happen to Ma Shifeng, Han Zong, and the others, Su Jingxing had no say in it. Lu Jufan had hidden the 2 ancient books, True Energy for Beginners and First Look at Spirit Weapons, in 2 different places. The first look at spirit weapons was placed inside the wall of a house in the southern district of Qinghe City. Lu Jufan had rented the house. After disguising himself, he rented the place as another person. Then, he dug a hole in one of the walls and put the ancient manual inside. If Lu Jufan did not return to retrieve it, no one would discover the ancient manual as long as the house was not demolished. As for the true energy for beginners, due to time constraints, Lu Jufan had placed it on the rooftop of a shop on the streets of a university town, under a water storage device. Su Jingxing's first destination was the rooftop of this shop. He flew like the wind, staying out of everyone's sights. Upon reaching the university town, Su Jingxing made a beeline for his destination and successfully obtained a package from beneath the water storage device. He opened the package to reveal a metal box. Inside was an ancient manual. The True Energy for Beginners. Flipping through the pages, he felt the material and charm of the ancient text, confirming that it was the same as the simple explanations of array formations. Su Jingxing nodded in satisfaction and stored the ancient manual in his palm space. Then, he soared into the sky and headed straight for the southern district. Expending his true energy, he pushed the speed of the 8 steps rising dragon to its maximum. From a high altitude, Su Jingxing traversed Qinghe City and arrived at the rooftop of the residential building where his target was. Using the ghost python breath-holding technique to conceal his aura, Su Jingxing silently entered the corridor and unlocked the door. After entering the house, he found the wall where the ancient manual was stored. At the bottom, he removed a brick and took out a package. He opened it to reveal an ancient manual. It was the first look at spirit weapons. Similarly, he flipped through the pages to get a feel for the material and its charm to confirm that the manual was real. Su Jingxing let out a long breath. Now that he had obtained 3 of the 4 ancient manuals, he was missing the last, the Introduction to Pills, to enter the mausoleum of Prince Qin. According to the loan records released by Xiantian University, the Introduction to Pills had been loaned to someone named Gu Huanqi 70 years ago, and it had yet to be returned. Therefore, if he wanted to get the Introduction to Pills, he had to find Gu Huanqi first. The problem was, no one knew where Gu Huanqi lived or whether he was still alive. There was no such information in the loan records released by Xiantian University. After 70 years, Ma Shifeng, Liang Yiqing, and the others probably did not know the whereabouts of Gu Huanqi either. Su Jingxing could guess this without even needing to probe and ask. The reason was simple: Ma Shifeng, Liang Yiqing, and the others were younger than 70 years old. They hadn't even been born when Gu Huanqi borrowed the Introduction to Pills. By the time they took over the Qinghe City Xiantian University branch campus, decades had passed. Therefore, he had to think of another way to find Gu Huanqi. For example, asking the Li family. The Li family was a local hegemon in Qinghe City. With a history of 300 years, they had great numbers and a wide range of influence. If Gu Huanqi was a famous figure, they should know of him. Of course, before that, Su Jingxing would search the internet for himself. Since it concerned the Introduction to Pills, he had to try his best not to expose himself. Once Su Jingxing went to the Li family to ask about Gu Huanqi, the Introduction to Pills would definitely come to mind for Li Lilo and the rest. In the end, if he really managed to find Gu Huanqi, the ownership of the Introduction to Pills would be another problem. Even though the Introduction to Pills would be the only one of 4 manuals that appeared, Su Jingxing couldn't guarantee that the Li family wouldn't be tempted to take it for themselves. Therefore, his considerations were for safety, and also to avoid trouble. Su Jingxing decided to search the internet and hack into Qinghe City's family register system. If that didn't work, he would hack into the national one. That was what he thought and did. In the end, he really found someone named Gu Huanqi. A total of 13 people. They shared the same name, but were of different ages and genders. According to the UNation census, a detailed study had been conducted 83 years ago after the catastrophe caused by the appearance of the extraterrestrial devil insect. 20 years ago, after the generalization of computers, the data was put into a specialized system. Gu Huanqi borrowed the Introduction to Pills 70 years ago. If he had lived to this day, he would have been around 100 years old. At this age, only one of the 13 people fit the bill. Su Jingxing pulled up this person's information and relatives. When he saw a name, Su Jingxing's gaze froze for a moment, then a strange expression formed on his face. It can't be that coincidental, can it? The sun was setting. The afterglow of the setting sun shone brightly on the horizon. The sky was painted with different colors, accompanied by a light breeze. A long river wound through Qinghe City. On the bank of the river, on a tall building in the western district that was on the north bank. At the famous Wind Cloud Crossing Hotel, the evening meal began under the rays of evening sunlight. In a private room in the hotel, Su Jingxing stood by the window and gazed at the sky-water river, which was shining brightly under the setting sun. He calmed himself. Talk. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Come in, said Su Jingxing, turning around. The door opened, revealing Gu Bo's family of 3. Brother Xing, I'm here. Gu Duo, who had her hair tied back in 2 ponytails, was the first to jump up and down excitedly as she ran into the room. Duo, you've become even prettier again, praised Su Jingxing as he squatted down, caught the child and lifted her. Really? Asked Gu Duo, covering her face with her hands as her big eyes twinkled with joy. I think I'm becoming prettier too, but you're also getting prettier, Brother Xing. With that, she leaned over and gave Su Jingxing a peck on the cheek. Then she covered his mouth and chuckled. What could he say? As his identity as a peak 9th-grade martial artist became known, Su Jingxing deliberately controlled his disposition and slightly improved it. A person who exuded good spirit, coupled with his good looks, naturally looked exceptionally pretty. Duo, how old are you? Get down here. Smiling at the interaction between Su Jingxing and Gu Duo, Gu Bo's wife motioned for the girl to get down on the ground. Gu Bo chimed in. Duo, you should be saying that he has become more handsome, not pretty. Pretty is for girls. It's okay. Even boys can be pretty. Dwed was right, ha, said Su Jingxing with a hearty laugh. Exactly, said Gu Duo, nodding fervently as she wrapped her arms around Su Jingxing's neck. Gu Bo only smiled wryly. Don't spoil her too much, Captain Su. Don't, just call me Little Su, said Su Jingxing as he carried Gu Duo to the round table and put her in a seat. That won't do. You are now a captain, and you will soon become an 8th grade martial artist. How can your address be the same as before, said Gu Bo, shaking his head. Right. This isn't a trivial matter. We can't afford to be careless, Gu Bo's wife agreed from the side. Huh? Am I supposed to call Brother Xing, Captain Su too? Asked Gu Duo curiously, raising her head. Look, Team Leader Gu, sister-in-law, you guys are confusing Duo. Su Jingxing patted the child on the head and comforted her. Duo, don't worry about them. Just call me Brother Xing. Alright, said Gu Duo, nodding earnestly. Gu Bo and his wife looked at each other, and could only accept this. This gathering was organized by Su Jingxing. Previously, Su Jingxing had promised Gu Duo that he would treat her to a feast at a big hotel. Lobsters, crabs, big meatballs, big mushrooms. They would have a hearty meal at once. Since he had the time tonight, Su Jingxing specially chose Wind Cloud Crossing and asked for the best spot to enjoy the scenery of the Sky Water River while having dinner. Other than food, there was also entertainment. The room was equipped with a television, a karaoke machine, a projector, and video game consoles. In fact, Su Jingxing had even deliberately prepared a bunch of toys that children loved so that Gu Duo could have as much fun as she wanted. The little fellow was indeed overjoyed. She couldn't sit still in her seat, and was soon running around. Gu Bo's wife accompanied her for a while. When the food arrived, she dragged her back to the table to feed her. Su Jingxing chatted with Gu Bo. Neither of them drank. Instead, they had a beverage specially made by the Wind Cloud Crossing. They touched many topics, ranging from children's toys to the various effects of the Qinghe city's government policies. When the meal was almost over, Gu Bo's wife stayed in front of the projector screen with Gu Duo, where they shouted as they played games. Lowering his voice, Gu Bo stood beside Su Jingxing and asked softly, "What can I do for you, little Su? Feel free to let me know." "Ah, you could tell, Team Leader Gu?" asked Su Jingxing, slightly surprised. "Heh, I guessed," said Gu Bo with a smug smile. "Now I was right. You had something for me." "Ha. Alright, you were half right. I do have something for you, but I'm also sincerely treating Duo to a meal. It just so happens that these two matters can be handled together." "I understand," said Gu Bo, nodding. "Now that we've had our meal, you can speak. As long as it's within my capabilities, I won't refuse." "It's not that exaggerated," said Su Jingxing, smiling. "I just wanted to ask if you still remember your granduncle, Team Leader Gu." "My granduncle?" asked Gu Bo, stunned. "Why does this sound like cursing, one?" "Wait, you mean granduncle Huanqi?" asked Gu Bo doubtfully, coming back to his senses. "Yeah, Gu Huanqi. Isn't he your granduncle?" asked Su Jingxing. That's right, the Gu Huanqi who had borrowed the introduction to pills was Gu Bo's granduncle. In the truest sense, the older brother of Gu Bo's grandfather. Su Jingxing was very surprised when he found out their relationship through the family register system. He inwardly exclaimed at the coincidence. According to the Gu family register, Gu Bo's grandfather and Gu Huanqi were biological brothers. There were 4 brothers. Gu Bo's grandfather was the youngest. Gu Huanqi was the oldest. He didn't leave any descendants behind, at least not on his family register. When it came to the introduction to pills, Su Jingxing deleted Gu Huanqi's information directly from the family register system after finding out his relationship with Gu Bo. In the national system, Gu Huanqi was designated as someone who did not have a family register. No matter who investigated, they wouldn't find out anything. This was to prevent Gu Bo from getting implicated because of the introduction to pills. Su Jingxing's act of nipping things from the source had almost broken the connection between Gu Huanqi and Gu Bo. Oh, so it's Grandpa Huanqi. Gu Bo calmed himself down. He took a sip of his beverage and said, "My eldest granduncle doesn't interact much with our family. Actually, I've only seen him 3 times as far as I can remember. The last time was more than 20 years ago. Granduncle Huanqi died outside. His body was cremated and sent back to our house. Before that, I barely had any impression of him. But he was very nice to me and my cousins. During our 2 encounters, he gave us a bunch of sugared pills, but they were all thrown away by my grandpa and the others. They said that the sugared pills were poisonous and that they could take our lives." "That's right. The sugared pills are poisonous. Granduncle Huanqi refines pills. Of course, my grandpa and the others said that he's not a noble alchemist. He's just a gluttonous and lazy scumbag who loafs around. I remember that my grandpa and the others chased him away very quickly during the 2 times he came back. Even when we received his ashes, he did not look happy at all. Instead, he cursed and swore, claiming that an early death meant that Granduncle Huanqi would get reincarnated faster, too. In any case, that's all I remember about Granduncle Huanqi. My grandpa, dad, and the others don't talk about him much either," said Gu Bo with a sigh. "Little Su, why did you ask me about him? What I want to know is, did your granduncle leave any belongings behind?" Without beating around the bush, Su Jingxing went straight to the point. "Like, books or the like." Gu Huanqi had borrowed the introduction to pills. Now that he was dead, the only clue left was his belongings. "Well." Pondering for a moment, Gu Bo said, "I think so, but I don't think so either. Too much time has passed, and I don't remember clearly. But Granduncle Huanqi did leave a lot of things, there in my ancestral home. Although my grandpa and the others always cursed him when he was alive, they kept every single thing he left behind. They've been stored in a chest for safekeeping, under the supervision of my cousins. Little Su, you. I won't hide anything from you, Team Leader Gu," said Su Jingxing, using the secret ability Advanced Hearing to listen in on the private rooms beside them, as well as on the levels above and below. When he was sure that no one was monitoring or eavesdropping, he got a little closer to Gu Bo and said in a low voice, "Team Leader Gu, among the things your granduncle left behind, there's a book that's very important to me. I'm not the only one who's looking for it. A lot of other people are also looking for it. Once. There's no need to elaborate. I'll go home tomorrow to bring it back for you," interrupted Gu Bo. Su Jingxing first faltered when he heard that. Then he smiled and said, "I'll go with you. In addition, when you get home, make sure to inform all your family members and get the story straight. You guys never had a granduncle, Gu Huanqi." Gu Bo's expression finally changed. Glancing at his wife and daughter anxiously, he lowered his voice and said, "Little Su, tell me the truth. Has my granduncle's enemy appeared and is seeking revenge on us?" "Relax." Patting Gu Bo on the shoulder, Su Jingxing comforted him. "There are some problems, but they aren't that big of a problem. They aren't enemies either. Anyway, when you get home, tell your family members that all of you never knew Gu Huanqi and that you don't know such a person at all. That'd be enough." Not that Su Jingxing wanted to scare Gu Bo, but if he didn't bring this up now, there was a 99% chance that someone would go to the Gu family subsequently. Su Jingxing was able to find 13 people in the nation with the name Gu Huanxi through the family register system. Others could do the same. Even though Su Jingxing had deleted the information of the real Gu Huanxi and severed his connection with Gu Bo and his family, in order to find the introduction to pills, there would still be people who would identify everyone named Gu Huanxi and investigate them one by one. Reminding Gu Bo to warn his family was only a precautionary measure to avoid future trouble. The problem would only be resolved once Su Jingxing had collected all 4 ancient manuals and entered the mausoleum of Prince Qin to acquire the treasure. Based on Su Jingxing's calculations, the commotion caused by opening the mausoleum of Prince Qin wouldn't be small. Even if he did it silently, he would deliberately reveal this information through his alias once he obtained the treasure. The reason was simple: Su Jingxing had to tell the others. The mausoleum of Prince Qin has already been opened, so what is the point of continuing to look for the introduction to pills? That was the only way to put an end to anyone's attempts at finding trouble with Gu Bo's family. This could also be considered as Su Jingxing's remuneration for Gu Bo's family after obtaining the introduction to pills. Of course, it was too early to talk about all that now. It was still unknown whether the introduction to pills of amongst Gu Huanxi's belongings. Su Jingxing's heart was racing, but he managed to contain his excitement. As for Gu Bo, his smile had vanished. There was no reason for Su Jingxing to lie to him. Putting Su Jingxing's character aside, Su Jingxing had gone from an ordinary person to a peak 9th-grade martial artist in just a few months. It would be impossible that he did not have a backer. In the eyes of the crematorium staff, Su Jingxing was a lucky man who had caught the eye of an expert and was taken in as a disciple. This expert was at least a 6th-grade martial artist, or one in the middle ranks. With such a master around, it made perfect sense for Su Jingxing to know some secret information. As a result, Gu Bo could not contain his anxiety and nervousness. No matter how much Su Jingxing tried to comfort him, his smile was gone. Gu Bo's wife took that in while they were parting. Although she did not say anything, there was panic in her eyes. It was Su Jingxing who gave her a calming look and comforted her. The next morning, with dark circles under his eyes, Gu Bo rushed to find Su Jingxing. The two of them drove straight to the city where Gu Bo's ancestral home was located. His hometown was over 800 kilometers away from Qinghe City. Gu Bo had borrowed a car, but Su Jingxing wouldn't let him drive it. Instead, Su Jingxing drove it at full speed, and they arrived before noon. When they arrived at the ancestral home, Gu Bo led the way. They found Gu Huanxi's belongings in a large trunk and began rummaging through it. And they actually managed to find the introduction to pills. There were many other ancient manuals on pill refinement as well. Of course, these ancient texts were all simple ones. They weren't any with advanced content. Naturally, they weren't worth much either. If they were valuable, Gu Bo's cousins wouldn't have had a chance to keep them. Su Jingxing wanted the introduction to pills. On Gu Bo's account, the Gu family did not say anything. They did not even take money. Initially, Su Jingxing had planned to buy it for 100,000 Great Yu dollars. Since the Gu family refused, Su Jingxing did not insist. Gripping the ancient manual in his hands, he felt the material and charm of its pages. After verifying it and confirming that introduction to pills was the same as the 3 ancient manuals, he was finally at ease. With all 4 ancient manuals in hand, he would be able to solve the mystery of the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin. After Gu Bo shared Su Jingxing's advice with his family repeatedly, and after they all agreed, the two of them drove back to Qinghe City. After sending Gu Bo home and returning the car, Su Jingxing returned to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain and headed straight for the Green Cloud mountain range, where the big white goose was. The treasures Lu Jufan had seized from his old friend could also be used to reveal the maps in the 4 ancient manuals. But Su Jingxing didn't take it. The first reason was that Lu Jufan had hidden the treasure in a bank safe. Getting it from there would require a lot of procedures and would be troublesome. The second reason was that treasure had limited power, and it might not be able to activate all 4 ancient manuals at once. The big white goose had no such problem. Therefore, Su Jingxing brought the 4 ancient books to the valley to the big white goose. He made it glow and shine its light on the 4 ancient books. The exact process was the same as what Su Jingxing had seen before. First, they were activated, released light, absorbed worldly energy and projected light maps in the air. Finally, he combined the 4 light maps into one. The exact location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin was clearly marked on the map. 1. The term can also be a derogatory insult among people. 2. Meaning that he's so hopeless he should just start afresh. Below the green cloud mountain, Qinghe City. Below Qinghe City, the mausoleum of Prince Qin. This saying had been circulating for hundreds of years, and it was for this reason that Qinghe City had once been searched for. People had searched everywhere except digging 3 feet deep underground, but hadn't been able to find the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin, let alone its entrance. However, at this moment, when the light maps projected from the 4 ancient manuals had combined, not only did it provide a detailed description of the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin, it also showed the entrance. Sky Water River. For hundreds of years, no one knew where the mausoleum of Prince Qin was located. It was located below the Sky Water River. Specifically, the downstream of the Sky Water River. As for the entrance, external forces would be required to find it. On the night of the full moon every month, when the moonlight shined down on the peak of Rooster Mountain on the southern bank of the Sky Water River, the shadow of the rooster's comb projected in the river was the entrance to the mausoleum of Prince Qin. According to the description shown on the map, the entrance to the mausoleum of Prince Qin was a hidden spring under the riverbed of the Sky Water River. Even though the source of the Sky Water River was the Green Cloud Mountain Range, there were many underground springs in the channel segment. For this very reason, for thousands of years, the Sky Water River never dried up. Starting from the Green Cloud Mountain, it flowed through Qinghe City and headed southeast. Along the way, it converged with other large rivers and eventually flowed into the sea. Since ancient times, in the neighboring cities on the 2 banks, countless people had relied on the Sky Water River to support themselves. The water in the river never dried up. Naturally, no one knew about the location of the mausoleum of Prince Qin, which was located beneath the river. As for how the mausoleum of Prince Qin was put under the Sky Water River, there was no way of knowing. Based on Su Jingxing's estimations, the mausoleum of Prince Qin was probably reconstructed directly using an original underground cave that already existed. It was just like the underground cave where the concentration fruit tree was, a natural cave. If it wasn't a natural cave, it would have been extraordinarily difficult to dig out a large mausoleum under the Sky Water River. Even that could be done, it couldn't have been concealed given the amount of work required. Without at least 1,000 to 2,000 workers, this would be impossible. With so many construction workers and the location of the mausoleum so close to Qinghe City, it was impossible to conceal all this information. Therefore, the only possibility was to occupy an underground cave. Now that he had found this cave, and the entrance was known, all he had to do was wait. Wait for the night of the full moon. It's still the beginning of the month, and there's still half a month to go before the middle of the month, murmured Su Jingxing as he got the big white goose to stop glowing. Then, the 4 ancient manuals stopped their absorption of worldly energy and slowly returned to their original forms as they fell from the sky. Su Jingxing caught them and stored them in his palm space. As a precaution, it would be safer to keep these 4 ancient manuals for now. Ga. Ga. The big white goose flapped its wings and called out twice. No need. It's fine for now, said Su Jingxing gratefully. There's no need to release more light. I'll come back to you if I need that again. Ga. Ga. The big white goose flapped its wings and slowly rose into the air. Ga. 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 Ga.